Good job, guys. Whoa! Go Tala! Yeah! Woo! Well, that's easy. Hey guys, Woods Farm here, just out ice fishing. Beautiful day on the Rideau River. It's like 0 degrees out. Couldn't be more perfect out here, no wind. We just got through a really cold snap a few days there. It was going down to like -30 at night. And this is the first chance we could get out for some good weather. So I thought I'd do a little quick video on ice fishing. I was on YouTube the other day and I noticed there wasn't a lot of kind of beginner guides for ice fishing. Now obviously, depending on where you live and what kind of fish you're going after, things vary quite a bit. But if you're thinking about starting ice fishing for the first time, there's a few little things to think about that'll help you get started. Okay, the first thing you got to think about is where you're going to go ice fishing. So a good rule of thumb is think about places where people fish during the summertime. Obviously there's going to be the same sort of fish are going to be around in those areas in the winter. A good place to start for ice fishing is just have a look around in your local area, and you're going to see certain places where people are going ice fishing already. You'll see ice huts, ice fishing tents out on the ice. These places are usually around conservation areas, and in my experience, a lot of times they're kind of based around boat launches and public water access points, places where there's parking. So if you're going out for the first time, that's where you want to kind of think about going. You can see we're out, and there is some ice huts out here. So that's definitely an indication that there's probably fish around. Now obviously fishing where other people are going isn't always a sure thing, but it's a good place to start. And there's also a conservation area here where you can park and get out onto the ice. Also another good place to start. When you're starting out and looking for places to fish, another good idea is just go to the local bait shop and ask around, and they're going to point you in the right direction and tell you, you know, where to go, what are good times, what kind of lures and bait to use. That's always a good starting point. So the second thing you're going to need to think about is equipment. Now, if you're just starting out, you don't want to spend a lot of money, and you don't have to. For starters, you need a way to get through the ice. Now, the most efficient way is to get a motorized or an electric ice auger, but that's pretty pricey, so you can just start out with a hand auger. And if you practice, these are pretty quick to get through the ice. We're on about a foot of ice right now, and it was only taking us a couple minutes to get through. And these are pretty cheap. You can get them at yard sales for next to nothing. As long as the blades are good, you're good to go. Other options, you can get spuds or chisels. That works. That's how I started out. It takes a little longer to cut through the ice, but it's also a lot cheaper. You're also going to want to get yourself a scoop, so something like this to clean out the holes with. When you first cut through, there's going to be a lot of ice and slush, so you're going to need to get that out. Now, if you don't want to buy one of these, you can use anything sort of like a little shovel or anything like that will work, and that'll get you started. You're going to need a way to fish, and you can go to local fishing stores and just pick up ice fishing rods like this. They're pretty inexpensive, but there's other options as well. You can actually use, I've seen people use fishing poles from the summertime ice fishing. You could do that. You can just use a hand line. You can make your own fishing pole too. Yeah, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get started. Here's a good example of basically a little homemade fishing pole. This is just a piece of wood with some line wrapped around it, and then I've got the tip of an old fishing pole put onto it there, and some ice fishing line, and there you go. It's a pretty inexpensive way to get started. When it comes to tackle and lures, not really necessary to have a really big kit. I have a couple of different little setups depending on what type of fish I'm going after, and depending on what kind of fish are in your area, you're going to have a lot of different variety of lures. But if you're just starting out, you can actually use spoons that you might already have from fishing in the summertime. So, I mean, that's a good example of a kind of a spoon that you can use during the winter that you might already have. So again, ask around, go to the bait shop. They're going to tell you what colors and what kind of lures might work best depending on what you're going after. Here's a pretty inexpensive setup that works good for walleye and a lot of other fish, a lot of trout. This will work for. You just got a stick with a line attached to it and a bell, and there's a minnow on a hook, and when the fish bites, you'll get a little ring on the bell, and there you go. So again, very inexpensive, easy way to start out. So just do a little bit of research for your area, find out what kind of fish are around, and you know, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that shows you, you know, how to fish for a specific type of fish, different techniques and different lures. So, you know, get onto YouTube and it's going to put you in the right direction when it comes to ice fishing. But a lot of people are pretty intimidated by ice fishing. You know, it's the weather, I think, that turns a lot of people off. So if you're just starting out, what I like to say is just go out on nice days. Plan ahead, think about what days you might go out fishing. And if it's, you know, minus 20 with the wind chill, and it's your first time going out, just, you know, skip it and go out on another day when it's nicer. You're going to have a lot more fun, especially if, you know, the first couple of times it might take you a while before you can find a good spot and you kind of figure out the right time of day to go after a certain type of fish. So you don't want to be out here freezing to death. Now, of course, there's other options. There's the pop-up tents. A lot of people are using those. They're super popular now. And, of course, there's ice huts. But that's something that you get into more after you've decided that you actually enjoy ice fishing. So, but for now, I mean, we do a lot of our fishing out here, and we're not even in an ice hut. I like being out in the open. And it's perfectly comfortable out here if you got a good set of boots and a nice jacket. So don't be intimidated by the weather. So really, if you're just starting out, the most basic thing is to set your minnow or your lure close to bottom. Look for drop-offs or areas along the edges of where there's weeds. Set your line close to bottom and just a basic jigging pattern. That'll get you started. There's a lot of different techniques and ways you can go about it, but that's going to vary depending on your area, what kind of fish you're going after. As a general rule of thumb, kind of the same age-old idea of, you know, fishing in the morning and in the evening. That tends to work pretty well as a general rule for ice fishing, so think about that when you're starting out. We tend to catch a little bit of fish in the morning, and it kind of slows down during the day, and then right before dark, that seems to be a good time as well. That's when we seem to catch a lot of fish. Well, I hope you found that interesting and helpful, and helps encourage you getting out there on the ice and trying for some fishing. So it's about 3:30 now, so we're just gonna start jigging and hopefully get into some walleye out here, and it should be a good day. But definitely like, subscribe if you want to see more Woods Farms ice fishing videos or any other videos from the Woods Farm. And if you have any questions, comments about ice fishing, just leave them below. As always, thanks for watching.